Hey there, I'm Joe Carter. If you've ever popped the hood and thought, where do I even start? You're in good company. Around here, we take the mystery out of car repair, one fix at a time. Whether you're a beginner or just looking to sharpen your skills, there's something here for you. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're into learning without the headaches. All right, that's enough from me. Let's get into
Priming
it.
is one of the most important steps in the protection of metal from the harmful environment. Let's consider what compositions are priming the car with their own hands and whether it is worth buying an aerosol primer. Layers of paintwork. To understand the purpose of primer, it is important to consider the composition of the paintwork of the car. After all, the essence of painting with your own hands is to get as close as possible to the factory coating. The following types of coatings are applied to each new metal part: primary primer, phosphate or categorizes. It is used as the first stage of corrosion protection of the body. Secondary primer, filler. Serves as a leveling layer and damping cushion for subsequent stages of painting. Paint. Thanks to pigments, gives the part color. It has no protective functions. Lacquer. Serves as an additional protective layer of the body, gives depth and shine to the color. Now let's take a closer look at the types of materials that can be used in sill protection and underbody treatment. About components. According to the type of compositions, there are two main types of primers: one component, two component. An additional component that distinguishes these types is a hardener. One component materials take a very long time to dry, so now they are practically not used. If for processing, for example, thresholds, you buy an aerosol, it will always be a two-component primer. Materials applied with a paint gun before painting will need to be diluted. The proportions of solvent and hardener are regulated by the instructions. Primary primers. The technology of categorizes treatment of the body is a complex chemical process. Trying to repeat this type of factory processing with your own hands does not make sense. That is why we will start with phosphating primers. The composition of such materials includes phosphoric acid, inclusions of chromates and phosphates of zinc or lead, which, reacting with the metal, form a layer of phosphates that are difficult to dissolve. You may also hear of reactive or etching types of materials. All these three names are used to refer to the primary type of soils. Generally, they are also called acidic soils. Application. The peculiarity of all primary coatings is a small layer thickness. About 8 to 12 microns, which is the smallest among all paintwork layers. That is why this type of coating will not hide the risk, packed with abrasive, or pores after cleaning of corrosion centers. Apply acid primer should be applied to the bare metal former centers of corrosion. Since the residual layer is very thin, you should never grind it off, it is very easy to rub off. You will immediately erase the protective coating. That is why reactive primers are always additionally coated with a filler. No putty should be applied to the primary coating. Dibenzonol peroxide, which serves as a hardener for most putties, reacts with the phosphating coating, thus losing all the strength of the chemical composition. An epoxy primer applied over an etching primer will have a similar effect. For localized body repairs, it is better to choose an aerosol. If you bought a primary primer in a can from an untested manufacturer, it is better to test it before painting, since it is possible to undermine the subsequent layers due to incompatibility of individual components. Drying time is about 10 to 20 minutes. Phosphating primers are desirable to use when combating rusting of sills, painting of unprotected underbody metal. Epoxy primers. Epoxy primer can be used if the car body has no corrosion centers. In case of large areas of repair, for example, underbody, we do not recommend using aerosol from untested manufacturers. Often the quality of such materials does not meet the standards. As a result, anti-corrosion treatment of sills with your own hands will not bring the expected effect. Aerosol and material under the paint gun from a well-known brand will be made on the same basis. If further painting of the body with your own hands will be carried out with materials of the same brand, you are guaranteed to have no problems with adhesion or compatibility of components. Universal two-component epoxy primer has one indisputable advantage: hydrophobicity. It forms a denser protective layer than the same etching primer, which prevents moisture from penetrating the metal. You will also have no problems if you are supposed to putty the repair area. Epoxy primers are also insulating, so they can be applied in areas where old layers of paintwork have been sanded off. The old putty will not be subsequently contoured. Excellent for sills, if rewelding with the installation of body remcaplex was carried out. The main purpose of the secondary layer is to create a cushion between the metal and the base layer of paintwork. This is especially important for sills and underbody, where the cushion will cushion the impact of stones. Even the most fine-grained putty will have pores after drying. It is 2K acrylic primers that are designed to fill these pores, creating a smooth body surface. All types of acrylic primer grades are hygroscopic. The matted surface with old paintwork, with which it is necessary to rub off bituminous stains, wash off salt and grease deposits. It is enough to cover with one layer. But for quality painting of the repair area may require 2 to 3 coats. Be sure to follow the requirements of intercoat drying. What is a non-sandiable primer? Conventional 2K acrylic primer, whether aerosol or can, leaves a rough shagreen after application. Therefore, it must be sanded with abrasives, depending on the TDS and sanding technology, from P600 to P1200. Tips for application: tips for applying primer, whether it is the treatment of sills or the area near the windshield. Each process begins with degreasing. Be sure to scrub away bitumen stains and grease deposits. Use the air pressure recommended by the material's instructions. Adjustments are possible for different spray systems. Of course, the aerosol will not give you such worries. Observe the proportions when diluting the primer, indicated on the label. After the final treatment of the sills, it is recommended to cover the surface with Gravitex. Visibility of paintwork damage. Preparation of car for painting. Automotive primers.